Today's video, we're going to talk about worldview. What is worldview and the importance of worldview? Worldview can be thought of as a distinct outlook on life, a unique way in which a people interface with reality, conceive of the universe, and how they use that information that's gleaned from how they interface and how they conceive the universe to relate to other people and how they relate to the natural world. Worldview is the lens that a people look through when they look out into the world. Worldview is the barometer that a people use to gauge the world. Worldview also distinguishes one culture group from another culture group. Worldview grows, develops, and evolves out of culture. And in one sense, worldview can be viewed as culture itself. Worldview is that which allows a people to see and recognize their unique individuality and communal identity. The worldview allows the people to stand in the same book, to work from the same page, to see themselves apart from other people. Oftentimes, the mistake is made in the society that we're living in today, which is the United States of America. The mistake is often made that we are all the same people. We say things like, we Americans, or the Americans. Now, we may all reside within the physical landmass that's known as the United States of America, but make no mistake about it, we are all not the same people. I'll give you an example. The way that African people, black people, see themselves in relation to the universe is not the same as how white people see themselves in relation to the universe. We do not relate to the natural world the same way. That's because of the worldview. We seek to harmonize, to be in sync with nature. Whereas Europeans, historically and contemporaneously, seeks to conquer and dominate and control and manipulate nature. That's two different worldviews. Two different worldviews. Black people, African people, we recognize and understand that the phenomenon commonly known as death is not the end of life in the absolute sense. For us, life extends into and beyond what we know as death. Whereas for Europeans, death is the end, it's finality. For us, it's not a finality. For us, death is a transition phase, a transcendence into a higher form of the same life. We live in the physical realm, and yet we live in the spiritual realm. When our physical bodies are no longer useful and needed in the physical realm, our spiritual life continues. Black people understand this. Europeans don't. So those are two examples of worldview. I can give multiple examples. Oh, let's try this last one. God, G-O-D, God. We oftentimes say there's only one God. We just use different names in how we relate to this God. That's not true. That is not true. If you believe in the concept God, or most people say what? A supreme being. All right? The way African people conceive of Neter, Chukwu, Olodumare, Inyame, Ama, Nwari, the way we conceive of those supreme divinities, if you will, is not the same as the Judaic, Christian, Islamic concept of Jehovah, God, or Allah. Our concept of the supreme in any sphere is contingent upon how we view our relationship to the natural world. For us, we understand Chukwu as being transcendent, right? Meaning it transcends, and it's also immanent, meaning it's here. For us, Chukwu is the all, and yet it's not the all. For us, Chukwu is the divine source, the essence, as Amma is the divine source, the essence. Extends out and permeates all that exists. We do not conceive of the supreme divinity being demarcated from ourselves and separate from ourselves. So for us, we are in fact one with Chukwu. Our task is to remember the relationship prior to coming into the physical realm. That's not how the Christians or the Jews or the Islamic people conceive. Now, there's nothing wrong with how they conceive because that works for them. So that's why I say it's a wrong and it's a mistake to say there's only one God. We just use different names. No, what we mean by Chukwu is not what they mean by God. What we mean by Olodumare is not what they mean by Allah. What we mean by Inyame is not what they mean by Jehovah. We are not conceiving the same. We're not conceiving the same because our concepts develops out of our worldview. So if the worldviews are not the same, then the way in which we conceive of specific aspects of reality will not be the same. And we must not make that mistake. So worldview is essential and it's very important. And it's critical and it's crucial that Black people come to understand their unique worldview and be okay with that. The task is not for us to go out of our way to try to fit into another people's worldview. Case in point, monotheism and polytheism. That debate, that's not an African debate. But however, we have been pulled into that debate because we are attempting to fit into what Europeans have defined as being the ideal belief system. See, Europeans says that monotheism is the ideal belief system. Polytheism is the inferior of the two. So what we do, since we don't truly understand our own way, we can't begin to even conceive that we have a way that's unique and distinct from white people. We go out of our way trying to prove that we are in fact a monotheistic people to meet up to what white people have defined as being the ideal standard. That is a mistake. That is a mistake, and we have to stop doing that. We have to come to know and understand our way. Our way is the ideal way for us. Whatever our ancestors have laid down for us, that's our ideal way. We can't allow another people to convince us that their way is the way that all other people must subscribe to. That's a mistake that we have been making because why? We don't understand worldview. We don't understand worldview. We don't understand the power of worldview and what it is and how it operates and what it does for people. So I'm here today just to submit in a short video the importance of worldview. Our concept of children is different from all other people. We don't view children the same way. Right? For us, a family with many children is a blessed family. Other folk don't think that way. They're trying to minimize the amount of children they have. That's the reason why the abortions are pushed so hard in the United States of America and primarily pushed in our communities, right? Because the children are not viewed the same in this society. So Black people, African people, we understood that children came they came to us by way of their parents, but they come to a community. And children are a blessing. They are gifts to the community. Without children, how could the people or the group or the race perpetuate its own existence? If we're not producing children, if we're not reproducing, how do you perpetuate your existence? Children are necessary. They're necessary. They are vital. You and I were once children. What if we would have been aborted? Now, this is not a conversation about abortion, but I'm making a point. It's about the worldview, because the worldview dictates how we see and understand children. It's the worldview. How we see and understand life itself is dictated by the worldview. For us, we are child-centered and life-affirming. Child-centered and life-affirming. That's the worldview. For us, we're not trying to commit a sacrilege against life, even though I know a lot of us haven't been born and contaminated within the United States of America. We no longer respect the earth the way we once did prior to coming in contact with the Islamics and the Christians, European Christians. We had a great reverence for earth for us because the earth is a living entity. A living entity. And for us, cosmologically, how we looked at it from a cosmological standpoint, the earth and the sky were always in a relationship, giving birth to the other elements that we need to survive. So for us, the earth is a deity, a divinity. Right? So life-affirming, child-centered. All that is worldview. And this is just a small piece of worldview. Because I didn't want to make this a long, drawn-out video. I want to make it a very short video. But I wanted to touch on worldview so we can understand the power of worldview. Language is linked to worldview. Behavior is linked to worldview. Education, for instance, in the United States of America, education is primarily what? Regurgitation. It's primarily regurgitation. The whole concept of trying to educate in the United States of America is an attempt to pour into you information that you are now required to regurgitate. And those of us who can do that the best are handed all these different types of degrees and told that we are what? You are masters, you are doctors. Masters of what? Doctors of what? Right? Masters of the ability to regurgitate. Doctors of the ability to regurgitate. Because in most instances, most of us who have these degrees are not healing our communities. Are not solving the problems in the community that you come from. And education fundamentally should provide you with the means to solve the problems in your own community, because education is to do what? Facilitate your ability or capacity to survive progressively, right? Not you detached from your community, but you in relationship to the community. That's worldview. Now for us, education involves what? Character development, character building. We prided ourselves on making sure that we produce men and women of quality characters, integrity, dignity. Right? Those things are important. Spiritually in tune. Those things are important. But that's worldview again. How do we understand the person? It's different from how they understand the person. For us, there is no person demarcated and detached from a community. See, for us, the person is a person within community, a person defined by community, a person contingent upon community, like the community are contingent upon persons. So person and community works hand in hand. Not in the West, not in the so-called United States of America. Again, European worldview is individual. You do your own thing your way. You are not responsible to or accountable for other individuals. Do your own thing. That's not our worldview. Now, we can talk more about that within another video, but I want you to think about what I just said, because I'm trying to make a distinction between worldview, because all that we do derives from a worldview. Even when we are not working in our best interest, we are utilizing the worldview of the Europeans. Let me say that again. Even when we are not working in the best interest of ourselves, we are utilizing a European worldview. I'll give an example. When we out here, we are so ambitious and driven, trying to accumulate all this money and saying, well, I'm on my grind. I got to do this for myself. It's all about me. Nobody helped me to get here. I did this all by myself. That's 100% European worldview, because that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? There's not a single African black person standing on the earth today that have done anything totally and absolutely by him or herself. Not a single person. Because you would not be able to do any of what you have done in the 20th century if your ancestors didn't do what they did in the 19th century, in the 18th century, in the 16th century, in the 17th century. What we do today is contingent upon what they did then. So when you think that you are doing something totally by yourself, you have already bought into a false worldview as it relates to who you are as an African or black man or black woman. Right? And we must not allow our children to grow up to think that they are not beholden to a community. We're in 2020, what this is, 2022? So we're talking about approximately like 70 years ago. About 70 years ago, in this land, you struggled with being able to ride on public transportation. You know what I'm saying? Going inside these malls that we want to go into today, you couldn't go into those malls back then. All the things you do today, and you think you have all these freedoms, that's because what? Somebody stood up and challenged this system. So you have a responsibility, like I have a responsibility. We can't be selfish. We each have a responsibility to continue likewise, because we haven't arrived nowhere. So we got work to do also, but it's worldview again. See, the white worldview tells you that you're an individual. It tells you that you did everything by yourself. Oh, you got the high grades in school. You got that diploma. You did that. You got your master's. That's what the white world tell you. And you buy into that. But you didn't do that by yourself. Because there was a time period when you couldn't go to the school. There was a time period when you couldn't even learn to read and write in this land. You didn't get there by yourself. You got there by other people, committing themselves to a struggle. Most of which lost their lives or ended up in exile or maimed. So you could go to school. And then what do you do in return? Spit in their face by saying, oh, I did this all by myself. That's arrogance of the highest degree in this betrayal. But once again, black man, black woman, we're talking about worldview, because the white worldview tells you to look at it that way. The African and the black worldview tells you don't forget those who paved the way for you to get to where you are at. Two different mindsets. And the task in 2022 is for us to come back into our mindset. The task of this YouTube channel, the School of Urban Philosophy, is to reinvigorate the black mind, to reintroduce us to who we are, ourselves. That's the purpose of this particular YouTube channel. So on that note, I am going to conclude for today. I've been about 19 minutes. I didn't want to stay this long, but I did want to come through and talk a little bit about worldview. But if you would like for this particular topic to continue, please comment. Make sure you comment on this particular video. Let me know. Talk to me. Tell me what topics you would like to hear me elaborate upon. I need you to feed me. And once again, that's African. That's the worldview. Our worldview is a back and forth reciprocity. It's a call and response. So I can bring forth clarity and insight on many topics, but I would like to hear from you. What would you like to hear me talk about? A Bibi Fahodier, race first, always. Until the next time, stay black, stay right.